And see if I can get a little more.
So John, Fred, and Dorothy Finley. Oh, but she's trapped. Yes, she's not back.
There we go, that gave me more.
She will be back for the June. But no.
Dorothy?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's traveling. Yeah.
Tim, thank you for not making me go crazy yesterday. No, and then you got yeah. That wasn't me, that was she passed me right after I talked to you though, so I never hesitate to call it, don't be too upset if I tell you. That's okay. I has to take his course. I was dying, almost like a client, I was like, I have a problem with people, it just looked so sad.
Hold on to that. You know what's
I know.
happened to them?
I know. Yeah, but on the other day, I'm like.
Oh, that? This was
All right, whenever you're ready.
Go.
Ready.
All right, kids, are you ready?
Yep.
Hello, everybody. We're gonna call to order the Conservation Commission meeting at Tuesday, May 13th at 2025 at 4:30 PM. The first order of business today is
Don't forget to
251.
introduce yourselves.
Oh, right. I always forget that. I'm Taryn.
Sue Gibbons?
Amy Keeler.
Carlos Salinas.
Wonderful. We're going to bring forward the application of 251 Spring Street LLC, Plat 7, Lot 27, Fire 251 on Spring Street for the application for a special use permit under Section 408, ends to renovate the existing walkout basement in a 5-room employee for employee housing.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of this honorable commission. This is an application. Actually, I won't repeat what the chair said. It's a simple renovation of our existing walkout basement to provide 5 employee housing rooms. Any questions, I'm here to answer. We don't seek relief from any of the zoning code, and we're just simply seeking a special use permit.
The only question that I have, I love this idea and I think it's great. The only question I didn't see answered in the paperwork was if the water consumption is going to increase based off of the rooms that you add.
So we have a sufficient existing allocation from the public water source of the Black Island Water Company. And recently we took our commercial washing machines and put them on our well. And so that freed up a large amount of our allocation. So it's already been confirmed, and I think there's letters in your packet, and I have the updated letters if you'd like to see.
Wouldn't degrade the water. I didn't see.
Yeah, it's there in the packet.
Okay.
The discussion of the changeover to the well, so that your water allocation may actually go down,
We have
right?
more allocation than we need at this point. For the committee, I have updated formal documents from the Water Commission and the Sewer Commission stating that there's sufficient allocation on their letterhead. Feels better than an email. Yes, this is water and sewer, Madam Chair and members of the committee. So ultimately, it will increase the usage of water, but we're on the public water and sewer.
Sorry?
Yeah, you did.
And the only question I had is not specific to this project, Blake, which is really carefully presented here. But it just reminded me of another project we dealt with recently. Is there any recourse that the town has if people convert for employee housing? If that employee housing then becomes hotel or in rooms, what would stop? I'm not suggesting you would do this. I'm just
Sure.
asking what would stop anybody from doing that once those rooms are existing?
So unfortunately, I think within the town zoning code, there is not a employee housing type of development. Your choices are an inn or a hotel. Hotel is more than 10 rooms. I don't think there's anything that the town could do to legally stop an inn from converting to employee housing. To give you some relief, given where this development is going to take place in our walkout basement, I don't think we would ever put hotel guests there.
I'm right in that it just doesn't have its own category. So
Yeah.
if an organization has
question.
permission for employee housing, they also unofficially have permission as an inn.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's the same thing in the town.
Us putting
I
in,
just think it's something for boards to be aware of so that we're thinking about it. I think it's admirable to be trying to add reasonable, add quality employee housing.
thank you. Either we put it in there as a statement of our intent
Yeah.
under the code. I don't think there's anything that can limit it to employees. If we wanted to change, it wouldn't make sense for our operations to do that.
Yeah, I just think
Yeah.
that's something we should all be aware of.
Yeah, that's a
moving
really
forward.
good question.
That's-
Really good question. Does anyone else have any?
Actually, I have a, it's somewhat irrelevant, but what do you do with employee housing when, in the winter? Do you just close it up?
So we would actually have this be winterized is our intent for construction crews, or maybe even someone from the island wants to live there for the winter. Our intent is to not have this be seasonal housing. Currently, the entirety of the Manassas is seasonal because we don't have enough insulation to have it run all year round. Our intent for our long-term plan would be to keep the Manassas open year round, but that's much farther down the road.
Okay, so this would be winterized and useful in the winter for employees, construction workers. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I love
Th-
that idea.
That is our intent. It's up to our engineer to confirm with us that we can do that. So we don't want to put it as a stipulation in our permit, but that is our present intent to do that.
Great, good.
Thank you.
Carlos? Does anyone want to make a?
I like the idea of the employee housing
Yeah,
a lot.
it's a good idea.
Thank you, sir.
And it just, this doesn't really have anything really to do with this other than the special use permit, so.
Right. Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the favorable motion.
Thank you.
All in favor?
You need a second?
I made a favorable, I'm making a favorable motion, yes. And you're second.
I second it, yeah.
Okay.
Now we're ready.
Now we're in, who's in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Blake.
Thank you for your time.
All set.
Who?
One more, yeah, tomorrow's planning board. Appreciate you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Second on our agenda today is Town of New Shoreham, Block Island Health Services, Plat 10, Lot 2. Advisory for an application for development plan to review and install a ground-mounted solar energy system. Is someone here to represent?
I don't see them. and
Okay. Yeah,
when
it's
I-
Visible today.
When I spoke with one of the gentlemen who's coming to planning tomorrow this afternoon, he said he was calling somebody, so I'm not sure, but you're allowed to discuss it and make a decision
Right.
whether they're here or not. If you decide you want someone present to come back and answer questions, we can do that as well.
So the reason that this is before us is because it just requires, it's outside of 700 square feet that for a special use permit, but what's everyone's thoughts on this?
Okay, so it's this, this is only before us because they need a special use permit.
It's just larger than the
Right.
footprint.
So
That's all.
my feeling about it, if it doesn't appear to be encroaching on wetland or closing
No,
off
it's completely.
usable space. So I think solar is
Essential.
essential. And so I can't see a strong objection.
Yeah,
to
the
solar
only
panels
reason
on
it's
it.
here is because it's larger than the
Yeah, because it's a little
allocated
bit bigger.
square footage. Who else has any thoughts on this? Anyone?
I'm all for it.
Okay, can we make a favorable motion? Yes, I will make a favorable motion to approve the health services application. All in favor? Or seconds, who second, someone second? You second?
Second.
All right, Amy's gonna second that. And all in favor?
I
Okay, moving on.
These are ones today.
Okay, I have papers. Because it's been a while. Since we've all been here.
What's this?
This is the draft of checklist to
Yeah,
give us.
I brought a couple more copies too.
And
if
then
people want to
draft
rub it in.
of the zoning
You have one?
officials
I have one.
notes. There's, I think I did them both. Yeah, I did. Thank you. I was trying to take paper.
This isn't one. This is the agenda.
Sorry, this one.
Okay, thanks.
And did you get the zoning? Yes.
Well, I have two of these.
Go ahead.
There you go.
Do you need the zoning one?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not really sure what it is.
It,
The checklist.
Jen had responded to the idea of a check with some ideas.
Oh,
Right
okay,
there, she got
great.
this, go.
So I have this,
Yep.
And this?
that one I don't, but I have
Yep.
a similar
The
version.
shape of copy is fine, sorry.
I have
Okay,
a different version of that.
so you would like that? You don't want it?
I don't need it.
So,
Oh, this is cool.
And then Jen gave me some notes, just like, not necessarily the checklist, but that she
Oh,
felt.
for our organizational purposes, would be thoughts to think about.
Okay.
So do you want me to talk quickly about where my draft came from? Okay, so I was just thinking that as we review applications, it would be nice to be able to make sure we haven't overlooked important things or overlooked thinking about important things. So the list that I made is literally just, I worked with our commission's charge and then brainstormed a draft list of what we should be thinking about when we're reviewing an application. So it is by no means complete or might not make sense to the rest of you. I just made a list to think, what should we be concerned about? And so I work my way down on whether DEM needs to be involved, whether there's a CRMC ruling that's needed, and if the applications have been made, if the property is conforming or non-conforming currently with zoning, does it create or increase existing wetlands or coastal zone infractions? Are there previous or existing wetlands infractions on the site already? Does the application limit negative wetlands and or coastal zone degradation as much as possible? And then I thought about, are there permeable or impermeable driveways and parking surfaces? What's the plan there? This was for you, Taryn. Is the landscaping native meant to protect from erosion and invasives? Are there OWTS or other sewer concerns? Are there water usage concerns? Are we talking about private wells or town waters, or like in the Manasseh's case, both? And I added in, does the outdoor lighting meet town ordinance requirements to protect nocturnal wildlife in dark skies? Because I'm thinking about lights these days, especially.
My only comment about the last one
Back.
is just so you guys are aware, there is a lighting ordinance that's being talked about right now that
Right.
hasn't passed yet. So I want that to be on there, but just be aware that there's a new one coming down.
Right, no, I'm aware, that's why
Yeah.
I just.
No,
thought
that's,
we
it was
could-
just to let you know there's a new one
Yeah.
coming, that's all.
Are they meeting current or whatever the updated requirements are? So then there's whatever Jen has here, which I haven't gone through too carefully, but maybe what we or somebody needs to do is try to kind of marry these two up.
Yeah, I can do this. Thank you so much, Sue. This was incredible. And the only thing
You want to see?
I'm looking at here that I think that could be of potential interest for us when we're reviewing applications is that before you guys were on the Conservation Commission, we had one application that came in where they were planning to build this very large house and there was no solar included and whatever. And we asked them about the energy usage of their house. It wasn't in the plans. And we asked them to come back and it was like, they're just drawing a lot of resources from the electrical grid of Block Island. And we suggested that they get solar and they did, they changed the plans. And so it's like, for large applications, that really only pertains to like very large developments in that regard, but I think it's an important, I don't even know exactly.
But it will get flagged for future applications because there is I call it the big house ordinance. That's not the actual term for it, but like if the house is over a certain square footage, it triggers, I believe it's zoning, but it might be planning. It triggers a process and they'll end up in front of you. if needed because of the type of permit. So it's
Be like, here, just to ask. And
Yeah.
I like to be nosy and I like to just ask things and like put things in people's minds. And just because we are like
Mhm.
with the lighting stuff, it's so good to just be like, we care, just so you know, we're watching.
do you want to word it as like being the most, are you being the most energy efficient, effective? Just, I'm just putting notes on, so. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know that you could really control it, but I don't think it hurts to inquire and get people thinking about it.
Yeah.
Right.
What the.
And like
what
we've
the
had
energy drop is.
applications where we're like, do you really need that many bathrooms? And it's like, just like with the water usage and whatever, and they will change them, you know what I mean? And so it's like, it's just inquiring, because sometimes the architects and the engineers and whatever, they just create these beautiful, huge plans and the people are like, yeah, whatever. But it's like, where's the intention, you know? And so I think that that's our job, is to really refine the intentionality of each of these
Yeah, ask them to think about it.
applications.
Yep, I think.
And so that's the only addition that I, just off of like immediately looking at this, that was the one thing that kind of pinged my brain, but I haven't looked at this other email from Jen. But if you want, I can
Or, yeah, you can
I
try
can-
Miriam, or I can do it if you want. It's up to you.
it's, if you're gonna fight me on it, I'll totally let you do it.
I'll do it, no problem. I'll do it. If I have this
She's
one to do.
retired, we're not.
Yeah, I'm retired, you're not. I can do it.
Yeah, I'm like working like a lot, but I would be happy to do it if Sue was not here and so willing. I
No,
would-
why don't I do it and then send an updated one back to Amanda?
Yep.
And then maybe at our next meeting, we can consider adopting it.
Mm,
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well-
That's perfect.
Could we add maybe a half step in there? I wonder if the Coastal Resilience Committee might have some good ideas to add in.
They could.
Having to do with erosion, sea level rise, increasing intensity of storms, et cetera.
I think that if we,
We could probably put it in here under, if I broaden this idea of native landscaping, we could put in a specific question or a specific
If, just out of,
thought about,
or even the wetland infractions too, because
yeah, about
coastal
coastal
resiliency stuff
erosion.
goes
Right.
in tandem with, you know, runoff
Mhm.
and.
and if you're gonna combine with Jen's too, it also talks about flood zones and stuff in there as well, so that
Yeah, okay.
is in there.
I guess, and I wonder if that might behoove us to maybe share it with the Coastal Resilience Committee and say, do you have any thoughts
Mm-hmm.
you can throw back to us?
Yeah.
Anybody have?
And then
any
we'll
concerns
start
about-
building those.
Can I make a suggestion? How about Sue merges it for our next meeting and then you guys review it? If you like it, then ask them to look at it.
Yeah, and that, yeah.
Is that-
that may be-
It's farther along, so it's
Yeah.
not.
That way it's not piecemealed. We have, you decide your final.
Yep.
Because otherwise, it's still all over the place and yeah, that might confuse
And we
matters more than
could
anything.
potentially invite them to come to the next meeting after we potentially approve it at the next meeting. They could.
Wait, they're still on the agenda. We still have a joint meeting coming with them. You're jumping ahead.
Let's get to that then. So,
Okay.
so our vibe with these lists is that Sue is going to merge them.
Yeah.
And then we're going to reconsider everything at the next meeting and potentially inquire with the Coastal Resiliency Committee to add any thoughts that they might have for us to consider on each of our applications.
Yep. Okay.
Yes, my only comment is when it comes to the zoning and planning applications, I don't know, definitely in regards to DEM and wetlands, but I'm not sure how that would necessarily apply to the building one. So that's my only thought. If you can think of ways for that, so that I can put them on paper for you, or actually you can add them to the list, we can do that too.
Sure.
Does that make sense? Like when zoning and planning send things to you,
Yeah.
they're normally special use permits for like was for employee housing. Whereas the coastal resiliency, I understand in regards to wetlands and like when we have the CRMC permits and DEMs, it's more of, so I'm getting you guys the right information. So how would it apply to the zoning and planning special use permits? Because you do get a lot of those.
Right.
Is my, just a thought, think about, put thoughts down.
It's just for us to be aware of as we're reviewing applications to inquire with the person who's standing in front of us.
But it's so I can get you the information. That's why I'm asking. It's more of that I'm giving you the right information as it comes into the office. That's why I'm asking. It's not.
Okay,
Cool. Do we have to make? No. Okay, next, discuss a process for calling special meetings specific to the Department of Environmental Management, Coastal Resource Management Commission requests.
They changed their timeline,
Yeah,
as we all found out with the last one. You weren't here. The last one was 15 days, not 45 days.
Oh.
So I know everybody has lives and we cannot always call a special meeting. So I am asking for what you want to do depending on the type of request, I guess, because we can call a special meeting anytime you feel is needed, but in regards to the DEM and CRMC applications when they come in, because it is a short period of time and I don't always necessarily get them right away. What did you want me to do? Because that's up to you. If you want to do administrative process, I can do that. But if you want to meet to talk about it, if there's a minimum of 4 of you, we can do that. You have to have a quorum. I have to post it if you're going to have a quorum. So if it's under that,
Well, if it's under these time constraints, like I remember last year.
Right.
When it was me and Maria, like we just came.
right, you came in and we did it
We
administratively.
just had these two of us come to the office to sign off on whatever needs to be signed off on, rather than.
Well, it's writing a letter. So I mean, it's going to change for every application depending on what the application is. Like the Ambrose Swamp one was very
Yeah.
in depth, whereas others weren't as in depth. So it's more of what you guys are comfortable with. If you're okay with that, I mean, I have draft letters for pretty much everything, but the information that it pertains to. So if you want to nominate 2 of you to be the 2 people I call when something comes in and you're okay with that, then that's what we do. That's up to you guys as a committee. Or if you'd rather, if we have enough time and I can call everybody together, would you rather do that?
From my perspective, and I want to hear what everyone else's thoughts are on this, but from my perspective, it's easier to figure out a time to come into the office to look over paperwork, potentially in tandem with one other person, than to herd the cats into the meeting, because it's already kind of, there's people traveling and everyone's doing things and everyone, it's about to be summer and it's go time.
Right.
So like, that's my personal opinion.
but does that leave us, if you just have a few people coming in legally, does that leave us able to create a response? A positive or negative response within
You
that
can write the
15-day
letter,
period?
essentially.
Yes, it does, yeah.
So
You can literally be, like, when I went in last year with Maria, like, it was, we read the whole thing, we had an opinion about whatever it was that we had to submit to the GM. Amanda wrote the letter, we signed it, and then it was sent off, but it was like, things have to happen really quickly, and so it's like, just in respect to the turnover time, I think it's like, might be better to just have someone on speed dial and be like, hey, we have this
And
thing,
then
can you
have-
come review it?
how do we know?
But
How
Kim,
do we get to?
Maybe there's something I haven't heard. That doesn't seem right.
It
no,
doesn't seem
it
right to
doesn't-
me
it-
either.
It seems off to me too.
Unless there's. Decision.
that's why I'm asking, because certain boards have administrative process. We don't, which is why it's a discussion.
Yeah.
And here. The ability to be is by state statute, so that should be able to guide you whether or not you have an administrator. And then there are also the town rules for procedure for boards.
Right.
So, but it doesn't seem to me that you can do that unless you have that there's something special in those specific.
Right.
situations.
Like the one that they came in for, we had maybe,
There's 24 hours.
it was like 2 days. We had to get that one out.
I
But I'm
think,
How often does that happen?
not often,
not,
not often.
Let's do a special meeting.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we'd be.
I'm okay with that if you,
It's the DEM, it's the need for DEM approval or CRMC approval those are exactly, in my mind, the applications we should be most concerned about.
Mhm.
agree.
Because now you're looking at wetlands infractions or coastal infractions, and, I think it's worth trying to call an emergency or a special meeting with a quorum.
Yeah.
So that we have a chance to talk about it. Now, if they really, are all their applications only 15 days now?
No, it depends on,
Occasionally.
it depends on what,
So you still have 45 days.
not I won't know until they get in.
I like that idea. How about this? Depending on the application, depending on if there's 40 days or 15 days or whatever, let's first try to call a special meeting.
Yep.
If everyone can come, brilliant, let's come, let's do it, let's all collaborate. And then for some reason, if there is the people are not available, then we would go to the next option about like going. But the thing is with me, I had in my brain, it was like that time there's 24 hours and it was like a literal emergency.
I can't even remember what that was.
15 days is plenty of time. It's like 2 weeks.
Right.
So but like the first, like step A would be call a special meeting, then step B would be to come to the office with at least 2 of us.
Yep. And I just think we need to clarify
Yeah.
whether that.
I'll pull all that for the next.
legally Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And step B, right? Because it doesn't seem so to me,
Yeah.
even if it's been done.
And how would the rest of us, would you send us an email with?
Oh, yeah.
what's happened?
That's what the one time we had to do it, everyone got notification of what got sent.
Sure.
And we did it that way because we didn't have any other,
Yeah.
we didn't know what was going
Had
on.
to happen that
I
way.
think.
But I'm more than, I'll pull the regs for the state and I know Jen has, we were looking at them for something else anyway, so I'll pull them.
Maybe reconsider this item next meeting too.
Yeah,
What?
if you could pull
Yeah,
text, then
I'll put
maybe we
yeah.
could be sure next meeting. I mean, it might, maybe, I'm just.
So for now, I'm just gonna plan on
Lighter.
special meetings.
Seeing a positive or a negative advisory and not any kind of official decision.
Right.
Still, I think you'd be better off with a board.
No, I don't disagree. I'm okay with special meetings. I just wanted to clarify that everyone was okay with that.
And speaking of clarity, how is it that the DEM, knowing the open meeting constraints that Rhode Island has, being part of the Rhode Island state government, is pulling things like having these 15-day periods for turnaround,
Right.
knowing that
They really do.
local committees have to set a calendar a year in advance.
I don't know.
So I would like clarity on that, because it just.
I didn't get an answer
Sticks
to
in my
that.
heaven to-
Good luck getting clarity on
You know?
that. From-
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like, I don't know.
I mean, if you want this, one, that,
We tried. We asked a lot of questions and we got back that this was their procedure now.
yeah, yeah, well.
That's
you know,
it, like they can arbitrarily decide this one's gonna be 15 days, this is 45.
You think it depends on whatever the application is, yeah.
It does seem very arbitrary.
We didn't get a straight answer.
Yeah, well, a lot of what the DEM is doing these days doesn't make a lot of sense. Like we learned it's off topic, but we learned on that Emerald Swamp project that the reason I never got a letter notifying us of that project coming up. Now, fortunately, we found out early enough to make a fairly large stink, is that they don't consider us within 200 feet. Because even though the property line literally borders mine, because they measured from the end of the proposed bridge, not from the property line. And that makes 0 sense. You know, like you could dump oil into the swamp over here at the end of the bridge, and it would never get
Right.
to the other side of the property line. But I got a direct answer from DEM that
Yeah.
we were not within 200 feet.
Right.
But it's based on where they measured from. So they're playing fast and loose.
That is a terrible textbook answer from them, like.
Well, his answer to me also was even worse, a phrase I hate. He said to me, "Well, Sue, it is what it is."
Oh, no.
I was like,
Is it?
"Oh, no, it's not."
Biologically, that seems pretty detrimental.
So it's the only recourse, suing? I mean, isn't there a more collaborative approach that they can have with us?
Appeal.
You know, some kind of form of feel, like, for instance, this letter we got in this interim period, saying DEM was fine with the wetlands,
They had rendered their decision.
but they just said, oh, pursuant to this section and that section, we're fine with it. They never addressed the points we made. Yeah,
Yeah.
they never addressed any of the points we made.
Actually have to.
Because we weren't the only group who sent them something. They don't have to address us directly. You sent in what your concerns were. And you're not the only, I'm assuming not the only person who sent it in. So that was just the decision they rendered after reading all the correspondence.
Yep.
I don't think they answer
It seemed
each.
more specific to us, but maybe I misread the letter.
Yeah, I think it was general. I don't think it was specific to
I
us.
thought it was specific, but I'll take another look.
It might have
Very
quoted a
scant
couple
on
things.
detail. The letter was very scant on detail. We looked at it and
Right.
whatever, you know?
Yeah, it was.
Shame.
So I mean, once that happens, is there a way to appeal that in a collaborative way or?
I don't know the answer to that one. I can look into it, but I don't know.
Yeah, is there a non-lawyerly way to appeal that? Is it like you just reach out to the governor and say, hey, what's going on here? Or?
I don't know. I think most of those decisions would require going through a lawyer, but I can ask. I'll
Okay,
ask.
that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like, could you file a complaint with CRMC and CRMC can take it up with DM? Like, I don't know how it would work, but someone would have, someone higher than DEM potentially would have to be notified about it. I think. Especially if we're not getting any productive responses from DEM.
I mean, I think it also depends on the project too. Like, so we got a response about that one. We didn't get anything about
100%.
a couple others that have gone through.
They haven't taken any action on the big swamp application.
Right? There's a couple others I haven't seen decisions rendered on yet.
Oh,
either,
they
so-
say they haven't, because I'm on that
Right.
list. I'm their new enemy on. that
Right.
list. Like Martin gets an email from me about every 2 weeks because I don't want to miss.
Right.
If they, you know, the hope will be that they'll do a public hearing on that Ambrose Swamp application.
Yeah.
Right.
If they got enough feedback, but we don't want to end up caught in one of these crazy short deadlines.
24
Yeah,
hour,
no.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, one-
Yes.
I know this, coastal resiliency net last year with CRMC to ask about procedures,
Mm.
to set up a working relationship. Maybe you could do that with the DEM rep and just in a friendly way, invite them here, ask them about the procedure.
Mm.
You know, so you can understand better, ask them what their appeal procedures are, and take it from a more general, how can we work better together approach.
That's a great idea.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, can you find
Thank
out
you,
about that
Ken.
if they would meet with us?
Do that.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kim.
Thanks, Kim. Good idea.
I love when Kim is here.
Keep them busy.
What's that?
Keep
said-
those DEM people busy and on the ferry. They are.
Yeah.
When they come
Funny.
in here, they're perfectly nice people. Yeah. Yeah, well, it helps them know who's paying attention and how we should communicate with them.
So
right?
good.
Yeah,
I will send an email and ask.
thank you.
Yay. Alrighty,
Are we on to number 6?
yes.
Are you guys okay with that?
Mhm.
Laurel and I talked, and then I believe Laurel talked to Judy, but we're kind of all over the place. We decided to postpone the joint meeting until the fall. So I think we said September or October. Was checking to see what works best with everybody. In regards to an agenda, they asked us for this meeting, so I think the agenda should be coming from them, but I am willing to put things on it if you want it to be there. I'm not sure the best, because you were invited to their meeting. So I was kind of hoping that they would do that, but I'm okay with making an agenda if you want me to make an agenda, if you have items you want on it.
Well, what if?
And I do realize that's a
what
couple
if we
months away,
asked
but
Them for a potential agenda that we could potentially add things to.
I'm okay with that, if you want me to do
way
that.
We'd see it
Yeah,
and could see whether it seems reasonable and whether there's other things we want to talk about.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I would say for me, October would be better than September, but it's all fine.
Okay.
Idea, taking life
Yeah,
day by day.
yeah, it's far out.
That's okay. I just figured I'd try. Our scheduled meeting for, hold on, October is. The 14th.
Yeah, the 14th.
So, and I know they normally meet the week before you, which is the 7th. And we can either schedule a special meeting, or if if we don't have any regular items on our agenda, just
We could
move
carry
it.
in.
Yeah. If you're okay with that, but we can also discuss that as we get closer, if there, depending on what comes down the pike for. Okay.
End of October and traveling.
All right, I will talk to Laurel about October 7th and work on that.
Okay.
I have minutes if no one read them online.
Yeah, I wasn't here at that meeting, so I won't approve the minutes.
Unless anyone has anything else about the joint
Nothing
meeting.
interesting.
Carlos?
No.
No.
Carlos is on top of it, guys.
He is.
No what?
On top of things.
He is.
One
No, this is
quick
the
question on the
meeting I was at.
minutes.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear back on the letter you sent to them? Why it was so short, the administrative period? I'm just looking at item 3 on the minutes.
Was that about the DEM?
Yes.
That was because they changed their time frame. I thought Jen sent that in an email to everybody back in March when we got a response. It's been a while at this point, but it was about their change in how they do things. I'll
Okay.
see if I can find it and resend it out.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Sorry, I can't remember what I had for like breakfast yesterday, let alone what we got in an email, but I know that one came through in an email, but I'll find it.
Does anyone want to approve the minutes?
These look fine. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Future agenda items.
No, we have to vote.
Oh, yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, future agenda items.
If this is where, if you have suggestions or things you want to talk about,
Well, I think the biggest one is we'll come back to the checklist.
Right.
next time, right?
anything that we didn't currently talk about.
Yeah.
And the potential to have a DEM person
Yeah.
come
Yep,
and
Yeah,
collaborate.
follow up on whether we can meet with DEM.
yep.
Yeah.
And also, if I'm not misreading, either yours or Jen's feedback, we have till 10 days before the meeting date to try to add something into the agenda.
That was me.
Okay.
Everything, just so everyone, I know I said it to you in an email, but I'll tell everybody. So I try to have the agenda set and ready to go 10 days before the meeting so I can get it to the paper. And if we have to change it, we can, but I try not to deviate from that, just if I don't have to, because we have 48 days before the 48 days. That's not right. 48 business hours. So like we meet Tuesdays by 4:30. Everything has to be posted by Friday at 4:30, but I have everything out to the paper by that Tuesday before. So exactly a week before. So I try to by 10 days. So like if you have something you want to add, that's great. I just try to before then, only because I really do like to not deviate from what we put in the newspaper, because a lot of people do read it. I didn't think they did, but a lot of people check that and question me when things aren't right. So like I try not to deviate from what gets put in the newspaper unless I absolutely have to. So that's I stick to 10 days. It just makes it so that I have time to make sure everything's in order before I send it to them.
It's fair.
But obviously, if something comes up that's important, we can change things. I'm not that much of a stickler. I just like to try to keep things cohesive.
Anyone else have any suggestions for future agenda items at this moment? No, okay, good. Is that all?
So,
Okay, I'm going to make a motion to close out this meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.